All right then, welcome to Three Flat Caps and a Whippet. We're back. It's 2020. Really glad to be back in the studio.
An
actual studio with real microphones.
The budget has increased.
Huge cash injection.
The cash cow has provided.
We're excited to be back with you. We've got quite a few different topics that we've got lined up. We've got things like relationships, change. We've got well-being, conflict, all sorts of different things. We'll come back to that in a minute. What we'll do is we'll reintroduce ourselves. It's been a long time since we've been here.
Long time ago.
I can still remember. I'm Jacob. This is obviously something that I'm quite passionate about, and I asked these two guys to join in with me, and I've got Luke with me.
Yep, Luke. Work with Jacob, work with John, and obviously like to chat a lot, so let's record it and get everyone people chatting.
Yeah, we've got John as well.
Yep, John. Yep.
Good one. This is obviously just a bit of an informal conversation. We're forcing ourselves, or I think we are forcing ourselves to talk, which is something that we don't obviously.
It's like our own supervision.
It is a little bit like supervision, but we thought it'd be good to record it just to prove and to get it out there that this is important and that this is needed for everybody.
Get some really nice feedback from Twitter.
Yeah.
After we post it, because we've got 3 flat caps and a whippet. What's the actual handle?
I think it's at threeflatcaps. Yeah, so give us a follow if you're not already following us. Always get in touch if you want to be on, or if you've got any topic suggestions.
Or even just want to chat.
Yeah.
just let us know if you want to offload anything, then feel free to do it through the Twitter.
We are doing this, like I've said, to kind of promote that. For me, it's an excuse to have a chat, which we don't do very often. We're going to try and get one out every month. We've got some dates booked in. We've actually booked those dates in. So hopefully once a month. I'm not 100% sure on the dates, but towards the end of the month, I think they'll be flying out.
Yeah, we're going to have to record sort of mid-month, and then we'll put it out following week or something like that.
So we're live from Springwell, Leeds. Today, Leeds East, yeah.
I think should we just mention that we haven't actually had a huge cash injection, and we're nicking a music studio from the school.
Yeah. Right, should we crack on?
Let's do it.
Yeah. This week's topic is going to be change or changes, which I think it's fair to say we've all been through some quite big ones, professionally, personally, potentially as well, in the last kind of 6 months, couple of years, which is, I suppose, is a good thing for us to chat and talk about how that's going for us, how that's made us feel, etc., and what those things were. So I suppose at this point I'll open it up if any of you guys want to jump in. If not, I don't mind going first. But what does change mean to you, or what sort of changes have you been through? If you want to start with your experience, that's fine. I'm not bothered.
I think Luke can go first with this. He's probably had I would say
the biggest change,
the most holistically encompassing change.
So some of our regular listeners may remember that in the last episode I was due a baby child. She's now been born. Now this is where you have to be surprised. Little round of applause.
Shut the front door.
So she's born, and it's mental. It's amazing. It's absolutely awesome. Little Roxanne. She's awesome, and do you know what? She's doing so well. Obviously, my life's changed ridiculously loads, but what she's actually brought to my life as well, which is really good, is she's brought me a life-work balance rather than a work-life balance.
Yeah. When
I get home from work, rather than getting my laptop out, I seem to just put stuff to one side and pick up my baby girl and have a play.
That's an interesting way of saying it as well, isn't it? A life-work balance.
It really has. It's brought balance to my life, which is brilliant.
I was going to say, I mean, I've got 2 children, 6 and 4 now, but that did exactly the same thing for me professionally. And I don't think it's a bad thing.
No.
Because although you can be someone might say, well, you're not working till whatever hour in the night, doing emails, making sure planning's done, making sure you're organising stuff, but I think you do just become more efficient with your time.
That's it, yeah. I think doing it more at work rather than at home.
Is that because you're forced to, though, or is it just...
Yeah, it forces you to be better organised, I think.
I think that, but partly I've matured as well from having a baby girl, I think. I've had to, because I'm a dad. I've got another life to sort of look after.
Do you cry more?
Yeah, definitely.
I think I do,
I genuinely do. Do you know when they were advertising the Women's World Cup, when that was on? Yeah. It was just before she was born, I think, and I was getting really emotional watching these women run around this field, because I was thinking that could be my daughter one day. So yeah, definitely. put me in touch with my emotions.
You know, you say you become more organised.
Yeah.
I think anybody that knows you would say that that's quite a big shift in your
Massive.
Your kind of.
And would you agree I have become more organised?
Yeah, and you know, I would agree with that.
You were only half an hour there today.
But genuinely, I don't know whether that's because you've had obviously other changes as well. But I genuinely do think that you have become more organised, and that's an interesting thing.
She's definitely a big reason for that, is Roxanne. So yeah, that's my biggest change there, emotionally, personally. Yeah,
and going back to that point, I think it's not just that. You know, and it won't happen at first, but it's not just the more you're better organising things, but actually because you work less in terms of time, in terms of hours. Although at first you don't sleep, so you might not be out of this yet. But what I found now actually is that because that work-life balance I've had to be more organised with, my day-to-day, I am in a better condition. So because I'm not working late in front of a screen, I'm fresher for it the next day. Yeah. So I think it's happened for me. That was quite twofold. It wasn't just I'm not sort of on and off working all the time or being less efficient with it, but also I think you're able to kind of, because you're more organised, it gets to a certain point of the night and you're like, right, I'm off to bed. Yeah. And I think before you'd have stayed up longer and stuff, I know
definitely, yeah.
But this time I'm just like, yeah, let's get to bed.
It's given me a routine at home.
Do you think the kind of being fresher is about physically not being staring at a screen, or what was it? I'm trying to think what I was thinking then. Or is it because you switch off and you're not
I think
thinking
it's a bit of both,
about
mate. Yeah, definitely a bit of both. And it helps that she has been sleeping for 8 hours on a night. So
she's sleeping
if
well.
there's any new parents listening, I do apologise. Sorry, not sorry. She's sleeping. I just feel sorry for my partner because she keeps her awake all day.
Yeah.
See, I've had it both ways, so I can quite easily brag about my second, because George first, he was born C-section, came early because he sort of turned upside down. Wife had preeclampsia and stuff and the blood pressure, so he came early. He was quite low in weight and stuff, and it took a bit of time for him, but Margot, 2 days, slept through. That's it. So I've kind of felt like I've had both of it.
Yeah. So you've advice is to not have another child because you might get the other end of the
scenario.
Or it gets better, so keep having it.
Yeah, I'm happy with Roxanne at the minute. So yeah, I suppose that's the biggest change I've had, mate, personally. Let's hear somebody else's change and then we can go into.
Come back around. That's all right. Do you want me to go?
Yeah,
I don't mind going. Mine's one that's mine's this kind of change of area of work, I suppose, in a sense of space, physically, team. So it's something that's happened 1.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I was talking to somebody about it yesterday while me and Luke were working together at the end of the day with a lovely lady that was on one of our training sessions. And she'd actually listened to the podcast. Oh, you mentioned it to her, didn't you? Sorry, she might listen to this one, so I hope if you're listening. Hey up. And it was interesting. I was talking about how I've moved from working all my kind of previous working life, whether that's been working on a farm or working in a butcher's or in a mainstream primary school, and then obviously down in Springwell, Barnsley, where I kind of first started my SCMH journey, if you want to call it that. I've always been part of a little team or a big team that I'm with the same people kind of every day. You go through the same sort of routines and processes. And I think one of the things that I've really struggled with over the last kind of 1.5 years is being away from that. I kind of say straight away as a bit of a disclaimer, I work across 3 sites, predominantly in Leeds, 3 SCMH schools, and I'm privileged to obviously then get out and about across the country, supporting other schools and other settings. So when I am in those sites in Leeds, I'm welcomed in like I'm part of the crew. You know what I mean? It's like I'm no other person, which is amazing. But I think at the back of my mind, I'm always thinking actually, for the rest of the week, I'm not there and I'm not actually genuinely part of their team every day that I was part of when I worked on their sites. I'll give you a little instance as to why they are so good at welcoming me back in. In the summer, I was invited to a kind of a leadership day where we were talking through our Ofsted report and kind of school improvement and all that sort of stuff for the next year, which I was really excited about because obviously that's it was a step up for me and in role and responsibility and stuff. And I'd been involved with the Ofsted quite heavily. During that day, to cut a long story short, found out roughly towards the middle of the morning that my grandma had passed away. I don't know if I remember talking to you about. I think I tried ringing you actually. I got a couple of text messages or missed calls rather. You don't answer them, do you? You just think, And then I think I got a text message off yourself saying you need to answer your phone, something's happened or something serious. So I'm like, all right. I went outside and I think I rang my dad, and my dad was obviously on the other end of the phone, really upset. I remember being sat on the settee, and I'm telling this like a really long story, Anna. Gaffer walks down back into the room, gives me the little nod, "Are you all right?" And I'm still kind of halfway through that conversation, so I'm like, yeah. I remember walking back into the room, sitting back down, and the midway through kind of the report, and they're starting to like go through the behaviour section, and every now and again the kind of conversation would flow around, and everyone would kind of give me the eye, expecting me to make a comment or something. I was just zoned out, staring at the front of the room, just like giving yes and no answers and whatever, not really giving them the input that they needed. You know what I mean? Yeah. You could see them drawing into me. But then, you know, obviously that finished, and we went to line up for dinner, and I remember being stood in the dinner queue and somebody, normal conversation, "Oh, did you have a good summer there?" and all that sort of stuff. And I think I remember saying something, "Oh yeah, I managed to get away for a couple of days, but that was it." And then I've worked for most of it with one of my mates, roofing, bizarrely. But that's a different conversation. I remember she just looked at me and went, "Are you okay?" And then I just went, "Ah!" I just broke down crying, and she was like, "What's wrong?" My gran's dead, and she was like, "You need to go home." And then for the next like 5 minutes, the process kind of went right. Every single person that was there just wrapped around me, not necessarily physically, although some of them did, you know, give me hugs and stuff. And they genuinely were bothered, and I find that amazing considering I've worked with the majority of those people for a year at that point, a year and a bit. They just wrapped around me. They knew that was something that I was clearly struggling with because I was really upset at the time.
That's a type of culture you don't want to change.
In it, and that's what I mean in a sense. I know that was quite a long way to get to that point. I suppose I felt it was quite important to set the context of it. But they genuinely kind of, I get that feel when I come into the buildings, which is something that that makes this environment tick and makes it work. I feel anyway.
You couldn't work here if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that culture, those people around you. It takes a certain sort of person to work with really vulnerable children, and that's what you've got here. Yeah.
So kind of linking it back to my changes, I've gone from being within that, but even now when I'm not within that, I still kind of get that support, I suppose. But I do struggle being out on my own, or as you'll know from being out and about yourselves, you know, being in the car on your own. And I'm obviously travelling up from Barnsley to Leeds or to wherever, and you're on your own, you're in the car on your own sometimes, and I don't know what you guys do in the car.
I'm not sure I appreciate the tone of that question.
I don't know what you guys do. What do you do in the car?
What I do in the car? I don't know what you guys do in the car.
Do you listen to music? Do you listen to radio, like talk radios or podcasts or what?
Do you know what? Recently, started Audible.
Yeah, I've tried to do that. A couple of different ones.
I mean, again, it's weird because I know I'm kind of contradicting myself, having said that you're more efficient with your time. But as efficient and that you have more time. But I still don't have time to read books.
Yeah. No, and I think
I just don't get that time, and I think so. Don't get me wrong, not every journey is listening to a book on Audible, but other things are available or whatever. But I don't know, it's just so I flick between that. It depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah,
to be
I'm
honest.
like that.
I'll go for a book, but very rarely.
Yeah.
So I think it's just reading in general for me. But but then Radio 6, quite like that. Quite like some of the shows and stuff that are on there, because it plays like alternative music, so it's not all just like chart stuff, which is...
I'm not a big fan of chart music.
No, not the way that's gone, and we're really starting to sound old now, but it's just not... But there don't seem to be any kind of character to it. No, some of them are, so it's like Kiwanuka, for instance, he's brought out a new album, love that stuff. Or like something from my collection, yeah, so something from the old online.
What about you?
On my journeys to and from work and home, I'm talk sport really. I just listen to just catch up on what's happening in the sporting world, because obviously that's a passion of mine. And phone calls. I make a lot of phone calls. I don't really tend to listen to music much when I'm in the car on the way to work. It's more I listen to music if on a weekend in the car. Even though I love music and that's another one of my passions, I tend to want to talk to people in the car rather than.
You listened on way over there, didn't you?
Say that again, sorry.
You listened to someone.
Oh, way over. I had a bit of Metallica on way over. Yeah.
I think, like you've said, though, I think it obviously kind of depends on where you are,
situation,
and what you're doing. Where you are,
where you are mentally, where you are.
And that's the change. So I've changed from a journey from Leeds to Barnsley, from Leeds to Leeds. So my journey's gone from like 50 miles to 10 miles, it's over half the sort of time it takes, and it is about half the time it took, because obviously I'm travelling through cities rather than I was on the M1 for a lot, so you cover more distance far more quickly. But I think when it was a longer journey, I had more variety. I would put more of my own music on or listen to something. When you've only got like a 15-minute journey,
it's hard, isn't it?
And it's on a morning, and and on an evening when it's like rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
It's always a concentrating on the road. I think at that point, music's fine, but like going back to like listening to a book, or whatever, I just don't think I could give it
get into
concentration.
it.
Yeah, and it's because of the time and because
And
of
then
where
you're
my
off it
mind's
straight away,
at.
aren't you?
Yeah.
So like you've got your 15-minute journey, 20-minute journey. I suppose it'd be hard to get continuity in a sense of you've 20 minutes and then you're on with being at work for 8, 9, 10 hours, whatever it is, and then 20 minutes if that's the same time home, and then off again. So I can see how that'd be. I suppose what I was one of the things that I'd ask is, do you find yourself, it might be more prevalent when you were doing your other journey before you've shortened your journey, but do you ever find yourself wandering off with thoughts? One of the things that I've learned when we did that mindfulness course a few years ago learnt about, I'm still not very good at it, was about how not
centering your thoughts.
Yeah,
almost.
so kind of noticing a thought in your head, but not necessarily entertaining it or following it.
So is this all like bringing yourself back into the here and
back?
now?
Yeah, so back into the moment and all that kind of business. I'm crap at that. I'm really, really bad at that. But I suppose what I'm asking is, did you ever? I suppose it's like I say, better on your other journey. Did you ever find yourself wandering off into different thoughts? Was it work? Was it other things?
Subconscious planning. That's what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely in the morning, I'd do that.
For
Going
work?
to work. Yeah. So I'd be thinking, right, when I get to work, I've got this to do, that to do, and then I'm ready for the day. I'm set for the day. I've got to go see this person about this to make sure that they've seen this email or they've done what.
And I don't think that's unhealthy though, is it? Because like you said, it is a bit of subconscious planning. It helps prep you and process what your day's been like or what it's going to be like.
And I suppose on the way home, it'd be like you'd probably reflect on the day.
So reflection on way home, on way there, you're planning.
Yeah.
John, you mentioned obviously you've moved from travelling to Leeds to Barnsley and just now Leeds to Leeds. I'm guessing obviously that's with a change of role.
Yeah, so that's probably my biggest change that's happened in the last couple of months, changing role from sort of strategic Senko and inclusion to associate principal for the trust around teaching and learning. And I kind of, from my role, I was working across 3 schools in the partnership that's in Barnsley. And what should have happened with this role, and I say I should have, because I'm central to the trust.
Yeah.
That there'd be more travelling. So it's the broad aspect of it was I'm the associate principal for teaching and learning in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
So it was across the Yorkshire region. I found myself based at one school. I'm in there doing, I'm around teaching and learning. I'm back in a classroom doing some teaching, which is really good, to be honest. And I'm glad, that was the one thing in changing roles, that I'm glad I've still got that little bit of snippet.
Still connected.
Day to day with the kids. Because the change that I always found hard was going from, and even if you weren't teaching, like everyone in previous school knew me, all the kids, all the way through the years, they'd know me, so you'd feel that connection. And the one big change that I was suppose worried about or concerned about was then becoming sort of this, a bit like yourself, you go into sort of this sort of establishment and no one really knows you. How quick can you build those relationships, and will it feel different, and is it just kind of like, would you hold back? So, because you're not going to be there often. I'd like to think I wouldn't, but that's the kind of change in
atmosphere. Even
atmosphere.
if it's subconscious, though, sometimes I think you do kind of restrict the things that you might do and say. It's interesting. I can get where you're coming from with that, in a sense of, obviously, like I said, I go around 3 sites, and it's incredibly. You mentioned the word relationships. It's obviously kind of underpins everything that we work with around for in our schools, whether they're SMH or mainstream schools. I find it incredibly difficult because of time to build relationships to the same extent that the people that are there full time.
You don't have enough experiences. with them.
Yeah,
It's
physically
hard to
don't
build
spend
those.
enough time. I don't have enough experiences with the kids across the school.
Is there a way you could make more of an effort to have them experiences,
I think-
or is it just a case of it literally is the job takes over and
I think it's literally obviously if I'm there a day, in compared to the people that are there every day of the week, I'm not going to have as much opportunity. I think it's really important that I consciously force myself, even if I've got, whatever meeting or whatever quality assurance thing to do that I've been doing this afternoon. I've consciously forced myself out away from a laptop, if that's what I'm working on at that time, to spend that time with the kids, with the not goats, as you got told off for saying the other day, with the children, because otherwise you're at a back foot, aren't you? And I think
you adapt though, don't you?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Like, I think you do adapt. You throw yourself sort of into it more, into those situations.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that you don't recognise until afterwards. So yes, I had those relationships. Yes, it had taken a while. But because I'm there day to day, I probably didn't. Well, you won't make the same amount of effort each day. You won't. You can't. I don't think you possibly could in terms of relationships with everybody. How could you?
No.
There'll be some days where a situation will lend itself to building that relationship with someone far greater than the next day would or the day before did. And I think if you know and maybe it goes back to a similar thing like when we're talking about becoming a parent and that work-life balance. Yeah. Maybe there's that kind of balance that I think I found where I know I've only got. So I see it from another way. I know I've only got a day. Like you said, so you kind of throw yourself in after. I know I've only got a day, so I make sure of full caffeine, 8 Red Bulls or whatever. Just like other drinks are available. And just like, but not like on turbocharged almost. If you want, I can't find it.
To try and get the most out of it.
Phrase for it.
Optimised,
full throttle. Just if you throw yourself at it.
Yeah.
I'm linking in what both of you were saying as well, because obviously I've had a bit of a change, not necessarily in career, but where I'm running from. Because obviously I've gone central now. And I've been tied to the same place for 12 years, which is a long time. So
and now you're not.
My previous school was 12 years. So I'm missing the relationships, I'm missing the kids, I'm missing that culture, that banter, even my routine and everything is completely different. I'm missing, like, not putting a purple shirt on a morning. Every morning I have to wake up and think about what to put on. I mean, I do look a bit smarter now wearing a suit.
I wouldn't like to comment. I wouldn't like to comment.
Cheers,
I like the Pac-Man socks.
Thanks, mate. Still got a little bit of Luke in there. And do you know what I'm missing more than anything? School dinners.
Nah.
I'm not even joking. I've not had to think about what I've made for lunch for the last 12 years.
Because he's been doing
so that's like a big change.
That's a massive change for me. That is a huge change for me. But I've gone into an environment where, like John said, he doesn't want to work with the children, and so I get to work with the kids as much as I can because I'm in control of my own diary now, so I can be in and out of schools as much as I need to do. But part of the role is a bit of office time, is a bit of admin time, and that's really been really strange for me. Going from a school that's vibrant with big culture, and happy people, busy, going into an office. I'm not saying they're the opposite, but it's
an office environment, isn't it?
People are working quietly and sort of on their own little bits and bats, all of which I'm not sort of fully understand what they actually do yet.
Do you compare anybody to like the It Crowd characters?
No, I haven't started doing that yet. I have got nicknames for some people though.
You will do.
I have a meatball man.
Shout out to the meatball man.
Shout out to the meatball man. He knows who he is. He's a good lad. He's meatball man because he likes meatballs. But that's
a bit of a letdown. I thought you meant it like he sold meatballs. Or we're gonna have to find out.
That's been a huge change for me going into that environment, the office environment. I'm getting used to it. Like you said, you throw yourself into it, don't you? I mean, the first week I really did struggle. On a night, I was thinking about it the next day and
overthinking.
Conscious,
I'm just conscious about it because again, I think it's because of the length of time that I spent in my previous home. Really, I suppose it was
making it count. I think that's the phrase.
Yeah,
you make it count.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
the time that you know you've got, you're making it count.
Yeah,
you know that increased planning. And I mean, the thing is like we're talking about changes. We've kind of done this, but I think it's what are the pitfalls, what are the advantages, because that's what change does, doesn't it? It's advantages and disadvantages, of having a child, about emotions, but you can't prepare yourself for
I know,
change.
yeah, how do you prepare yourself for that change?
No matter how many times someone says,
you just got to get in and
totally different.
Get in and get on with it.
You can't, whereas I suppose in our work, changes or other changes, so if you're moving house, if you're getting a new car, with other changes you kind of new dog, new cat, whatever, you can prepare yourself for those.
Buy a bowl.
Yeah.
We'll get some dog food.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
It's not just for Christmas. So if anyone got a dog for Christmas, then not just for Christmas. Yeah. So I think, it's the impacts of changes, I think, as well. We've talked a lot about what changes.
Yeah.
I think,
What do we like? Do we like about changes, or what don't we like about the
you know what? I even like...
change as a whole, I suppose.
And I always did as a kid. I know I'm a bit weird. But even changing my bedroom around...
I used to do that.
That was like amazing. So for me, like every now and again, a change would be
Not
like
for me.
a reset, a
Yeah.
reboot, and it would be like, right, I don't want my bed here anymore.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move my bed over there instead.
Yes.
And then you come in, and that change for me would
Like
be
a fresh.
yeah. But then there's other parts, and it's weird how that contradicts part of like my kind of OCD where.
You're shaking your head, look.
Yeah, complete opposite. My bed, I was comfy where my bed was, thank you, and it can stay there for 18 years.
Is that because you're just lazy?
No, not at all. I like it when my bed was.
I proper agree with you on that one. I used to change my room around all the
I
time.
get comfortable, and then I know, because like if I'm comfortable, I feel safe, and then I just feel like I'm all right in myself.
Yeah. It did used to be like a fresh start, didn't it? I was really messy, and I probably still would get called messy. But I used to clear everything out and like reload, reset, like a reboot, like you said.
Yeah.
What do we dislike about change as a whole?
Luke dislikes everything about change.
By the sounds of it.
I will not change my bedroom.
Do you know what? I'm not a fan of change at all, but I embrace it when it comes on. I hit it head on, but then it takes me a while to get into it. But once I'm into it, I'll be happy. I'm sort of happy again, and then I'll just won't want another change for a while.
What do you think it is? Do you think it's like the uncertainty, or
no? For me, genuinely, it's not. It's not the uncertainty because the future doesn't worry me. It's just I like what I have.
comfortable?
Because if I don't like what I have, then I change it. I only make changes when I feel it's necessary to.
Is it
I suppose when changes are enforced upon me, or
when
the
you haven't got
decisions are made
control.
by others, when I don't have control over it, that's when I dislike the change. But again, that's just my personality. I just like to be in control of my own stuff, really.
Why do you think that is?
Because I can make my own stuff how I want it to be, so that I know I like it. And somebody else doesn't know me and makes changes, then that's somebody else's thoughts. And I understand why people have to do it, but
Yeah.
I just like to be in control of my own changes.
I think I was weirdly conscious as a kid that I was worried I'd get too like a change would be too hard if I didn't do it.
All right,
So I think I trained myself for changes in that way with that.
that's fair enough.
Yeah, because then there's other things I was going to lead on to, like, and my wife will tell you about this, like cups, like mugs, like mats, things like that. My OCD, they'd have to be perpendicular to the corner of things and stuff like that. So it's not that I'm not anxious or with OCD or anything like that. I totally am. And things have to be a certain way, and I'm weird with food in that I won't put, if I'm eating tea, I won't put 3 or 4 different things on my fork. I'll eat one thing at a time.
In a certain order as
In
well.
a certain order, yeah. So it's not that. I mean, there's certain things that I do, and I know that's about control, and I know that's security.
Just clarify this, John. Are we talking like 1p? Or like
No. So it would just
like a
so if
bunch
I,
of peas.
no,
Eat
if
my
I was
peas,
eating peas,
then me.
I'd eat all the peas.
Before you move on to your next thing?
Before I move on to my next thing, yeah. And with a steak, I always leave the steak last.
What? Because
Yeah.
really cold.
Well, no, because I eat really fast.
I just shovel it in, me.
The food.
Yeah.
Of course, the food. Just shovel it all in.
How dare me.
We've obviously made a bit of a resolution to make sure we do this every month for our own benefits, and obviously to spread the love, the flat cap and a whippet love. We will hopefully have a guest on next time when we're looking at a relationship. I think it is next one, or it could be conflict. I'm not sure.
We do have a list.
Yeah, we have a list somewhere, but
we can just look at
yeah,
that.
whatever. We'll tweet that list
organisation,
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
tweet the
If
list
there's
out.
something you guys want, in particular, we've got a month or so between now and recording next, so like 3 weeks might be by the time this comes out. So yeah, just fire it over. I think the contentious issue with change at this time of year might be those resolutions.
Yeah, definitely.
So people have started going to the gym, and I'd like to say I have started going to the gym this week, but it's not a January thing, and it's not something that I'm not going to give up, because I joined the gym on the 5th of October 2019, and I went for the first time this week on the 21st of January. So it's not a new
So you've not
year
jumped
thing.
on the bandwagon?
It is. Well, I got a gym buddy, so my cousin Andrew, if you're listening, big up, because 3 months down the line, I'm now going to the gym because I've got a gym buddy.
What do you like doing at the gym? What gets you ticking at the gym? Because
I just stand by water cooler.
Yeah.
Stand
Towel around your neck.
I just
tunes on,
walk around
tunes on.
making this look good sort of thing, yeah. So, no, I really don't. But yeah, so I suppose what I'm kind of getting at is you must all have some sort of resolutions, whether you're going to call it a resolution, whether you're doing veganuary or whatever it is. So tweet us, tell us what you're doing this year, tell us what your plan is, what you're changing, what have you thought about over the Christmas period like we all do. I'm going to make this change this year. I'm going to do it.
If you want to be a whippet and you want to get involved in the show, obviously get in touch and feel free to come and join us at another recording session.
Yep.
Yeah, @freewhippet is the handle on Twitter. Thanks for us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, we need a Luke's.
Oh, what's Luke's line?
Luke's
Luke
line.
ain't got a line when it's about change because he don't like change. Don't embrace change because I don't like it. That's my line.
Oh my, that is poor.
That is terrible.
That is so, right.
This is extremely well prepared.
Yep.
He didn't just get his phone out and find this one last minute because he's the most organised person in the world. Remember that.
Thank you very much.
Over to Luke.
Only the wisest and stupidest of men never change.
Who's that?
Confucius.
Confucius.
Wise words.
Nice.
Right.
Take it easy, guys.
Thank you very much.
See you later.
See you.